I never thought my marriage would end in an empty apartment at 3 in the morning, but there I was, watching my wife stumble through the door in a sequined dress that caught the hallway light like broken glass. "Garrett," Hailey whispered, squinting into the darkness. Her mascara had run down her cheeks in black rivers. She smelled like expensive drinks and cheaper decisions. Are you really gone?" I didn't answer. I couldn't, because I wasn't there anymore. I was already 10 miles away in a rented loft that smelled like paint and new beginnings, lying awake on a mattress I'd bought 3 hours earlier, wondering if she'd noticed yet. But let me back up. Let me tell you how we got here. Before we get into the worst part of this betrayal, please subscribe, leave a like, comment, and tap that hype button to support the channel. 3 weeks before that night, I was still pretending everything was fine. I'm a customs inspector at the cargo port, which means I spend 40 hours a week detecting lies. You'd think that skill would translate to my personal life, but apparently I'd been giving Hailey a pass I wouldn't give a nervous teenager with a fake passport. She was a copywriter for nightlife brands, clubs, bars, event companies. When we met, I thought it was exciting. She knew everyone. She could walk past any velvet rope in the city. She wrote words that made people want to dance, drink, live. Somewhere along the way, she started living those words too hard. "I have a client meeting," she'd say, wearing an outfit that could stop traffic. "Brainstorming session," she'd explain, coming home at 2 a.m., smelling like she'd bathed in a vodka bottle. I began to see the signs. Her phone was always flipped face down. She started using expressions I'd never heard before. Conversation stopped the moment I walked in, and one name kept repeating itself. Trent Hayes. I looked him up. Of course I did. DJ, partial investor in a club called Pulse District. 33 years old. Pictures all over social media with his shirt unbuttoned, gold chain catching club lights, surrounded by people who probably couldn't pick him out of a lineup in daylight. "He's helping with the campaign," Hailey said when I asked. "He knows the scene." The scene. Like it was a place I couldn't go. Like our apartment with its quiet mornings and coffee maker was some kind of prison she needed parole from. The breaking point came on a Thursday. I got home from a 12-hour shift that involved inspecting 40 containers of electronics, filing 16 incident reports, and training 2 new officers. I was tired in my bones. Hailey was in our bedroom, applying makeup in the mirror. "How was work?" she asked without looking at me. "Long. There's leftover pasta in the fridge if you're hungry." "I'm going out." "Again?" She turned to me then, and her expression was something between irritation and pity. "Garrett, this is my job. This is networking." Networking doesn't require that dress. It was black, sequined, cut to imply rather than conceal, the kind of thing that made you look twice and then feel guilty about it. "You don't get to police what I wear." "I'm not trying to police anything. I'm trying to understand why my wife spends more time in clubs than in our home." She stood up, grabbed her purse. "Because maybe I need more than this." "More than what?" "This. Us. Coming home to someone who looks at me like I'm a suspect." "You are acting suspicious, Hailey." "And there it is." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "The customs inspector who sees everyone as guilty. Only the ones who are." The doorbell rang. She moved past me without another word. I followed her to the living room. Through the peephole, I could see him. Trent Hayes, in person. Leather jacket, styled hair, that same gold chain. Hailey opened the door. "Hey, beautiful," he said, voice smooth as expensive whiskey. His eyes flicked to me, standing in the background. "Garrett, right? Hailey's told me about you." "Nothing good, I imagine," I said. He smiled. "Just that you work hard. Respect, man. Somebody's got to keep the country safe." It was condescension wrapped in courtesy. I wanted to break his nose. Hailey grabbed her coat. "We're going to Pulse. There's a new campaign launch I need to cover." "At 10 p.m. on a Thursday?" "That's when the launch is, Garrett." "Right." She paused at the door, turned back. For a second, I thought she might stay, thought she might realize what she was walking toward. Instead, she said, "If you don't like how I live, then leave." The door closed. I stood there for exactly 30 seconds. Then I went to the bedroom and started packing. Every item I removed felt like shedding skin, and clothes into a duffel bag, laptop into its case. Photos stayed on the walls, but I took the hard drives. Documents, files, my grandfather's watch, the camping gear we'd used once 3 years ago. I was methodical, efficient. I'd learned organization from customs work, how to categorize and containerize. It took 2 hours to erase myself from that apartment. I loaded everything into my car, made 3 trips. The building was quiet. Nobody saw me leave. Before I drove away, I went back inside one last time. Looked at the space we'd shared for 4 years, the couch we'd picked out together, the kitchen where she used to make breakfast on Sundays, the bedroom where we used to talk until midnight about futures that would never happen. I left a note on the kitchen table, single sheet of paper, black ink. "You're right. I don't like this life. I'm gone." Then I locked the door and dropped the key through the mail slot. The loft I'd found was in the industrial district, 15th floor of a converted warehouse. Concrete floors, big windows, no memories. I'd seen it 2 days earlier during lunch break, signed the lease that afternoon with money from an account Hailey didn't know about. I'd been planning this longer than I admitted to myself. The mattress arrived at midnight. The delivery guys looked exhausted. I tipped them well. At 3 a.m., I lay there staring at exposed pipes on the ceiling, imagining Hailey stumbling into our old apartment, imagining her seeing the empty closets, the missing shoes, my absent toothbrush. Would she cry? Would she call me? My phone was already disconnected. New number, new provider. Would she think it was a prank? I almost smiled at that. The next morning, I reported to work 2 hours early. My supervisor, Janet Reeves, found me in the inspection bay reviewing container manifests. "Monroe, you're not on shift until 8. "Couldn't sleep?" She studied me with the expression of someone who'd seen 20 years of personal disasters play out in professional spaces. "You look different." "Just tired." "No, different. Like something broke, and you're okay with it." I didn't respond. She left me alone after that. At lunch, my friend Miles called. Miles Reed, owner of a private security company. We'd gone through customs training together before he went private sector. He was one of maybe 3 people I actually trusted. "Heard you moved," he said without preamble. Word travels fast. "Hailey called me this morning. She's losing her mind trying to find you." "Good." Silence on the line. Then, "Garrett, what are you doing?" "Living without a liar." "Fair, but I know that tone. You're not just leaving, you're planning something." "Maybe." "Controlled or reckless?" "Controlled," I said. "Always controlled." "That's what worries me. You're too good at this." "At what?" "Finding weaknesses. You spent a decade learning to detect patterns, inconsistencies, vulnerabilities, and now you're going to use all of it on someone you loved." "Someone who sent me away," I corrected. "Big difference. Just don't do anything stupid." "Stupid would be staying. I'm doing something precise." I hung up before he could argue. That afternoon, I started my research. Not hacking, not anything illegal, just open source intelligence, public records, social media, financial databases available to anyone who knows where to look. Trent Hayes was easier to crack than a container with a broken seal. His club ownership was listed in county records. Pulse District LLC. 3 investors. Trent owned 18%. Not majority, not even close. But his social media made him look like a kingpin. Property tax records showed 2 missed payments, small amounts, not enough to trigger liens yet, but enough to show cash flow problems. His personal accounts, the public ones, showed expensive tastes. Watches, cars, trips. The math didn't work. Nobody with 18% of a mid-tier club could afford that lifestyle, which meant debt, or fraud, or both. I started a folder, digital and physical. Everything documented, time-stamped, cross-referenced. Hailey was harder. We'd shared accounts, shared everything. But I found cracks. She'd written promotional materials for events that never happened, charged clients for campaigns that didn't deliver, small amounts, nothing prosecutable, but enough to violate contracts, enough to destroy professional credibility if someone connected the dots. I had the dots. I had the connections. Miles was right. I was good at this. That evening, Hailey showed up at the cargo port. Security called me. "There's someone here for you. Says she's your wife." "Not anymore," I said, "but I'll come down." She was in the visitor area behind reinforced glass. Still beautiful. Exhausted now. Makeup hastily applied. She saw me and pressed her hand against the glass like we were in a prison movie. "Garrett, please. We need to talk." I picked up the phone that connected our sides of the barrier. "You talked? Thursday night? You told me to leave?" "I didn't mean it like that. I was angry. You were judging me." "I was observing. There's a difference." "This is insane. You can't just disappear. We're married." "Were. Past tense." "I haven't signed anything." "You will." Her eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time, not the mascara-streaked performance from 3 a.m. "Where are you staying?" "Somewhere you're not." "Garrett, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but we can fix this. We can go to therapy. We can talk. You can talk, I said. You're good at words. That's your whole career. But I'm good at patterns. And the pattern here is simple. You chose him. You chose that life. Now you have it. I choose you. No, you choose whoever's in front of you. Right now, that's me because he's probably sleeping off last night. But tomorrow or next week, you'll choose the next spotlight. I'm done being the safety net you fall back on when the show ends. I hung up the phone. She screamed my name, pressed both hands against the glass. Security moved toward her. I walked away, through the steel door, back to my desk, back to container manifests and incident reports, and the kind of order I understood. Behind me, I heard her voice, muffled through walls and glass, still calling my name. I didn't turn around. 2 days after Hailey's scene at the port, I received a package at my loft, no return address. Inside was a USB drive and a handwritten note on Pulse District letterhead. Your wife is better company than you ever were. Thanks for the upgrade. T. Trent Hayes had just made a critical mistake. He'd given me evidence of harassment. I took the USB to Miles. His security office was in a small shopping plaza between a pawn shop and a Vietnamese restaurant. The sign read Reed Protection Services. Inside, the air smelled like coffee and electronics. Miles inspected the drive without connecting it. Might be something harmful. Or just someone being reckless, I said. Check it in a safe environment. He did. The drive held photos. Hailey and Trent at clubs, restaurants, his place. Nothing graphic, but undeniably close. Dates spanning 3 months. Metadata untouched. He's careless, Miles said. He basically gave you a record of everything. He thinks he came out on top. People who believe that stop paying attention. So what's your play? I pulled out my folder, showed him the financial records, the missed tax payments, the property liens, the inconsistencies. Miles whistled. You're going to burn him. I'm going to let him burn himself. I'm just providing oxygen. That's cold, man. That's efficient. I filed the harassment report with my agency's HR department. Not because I expected action, but because I wanted documentation, a paper trail, evidence that Trent Hayes was escalating. Then I did something more direct. I sent an anonymous message to the other investors in Pulse District. Not from my email, from a burner account routed through public Wi-Fi at a coffee shop. The message was simple. Check your partner's tax compliance. Check the promotional expenses. Ask where the money went. That's all it took. A single match in a building already soaked in gasoline. 3 days later, Hailey called my old number. When that didn't work, she called Janet at the port. Janet transferred the call to my desk. Stop, Hailey said when I answered. No greeting, just panic. Stop what? Whatever you're doing, Trent's investors are auditing everything. They froze the club accounts. They're talking about lawsuits. His lawyer called me. They think I'm involved. Are you? I wrote copy. I did marketing. That's all. Did you bill for work that wasn't delivered? Silence. Hailey? Some campaigns got delayed. Client decisions, not mine. But you charged them anyway. That's standard freelance practice. You charge for time, not results. Unless the contract specifies deliverables, which I'm guessing yours did. How do you know that? Because I read contracts for a living. Because I understand how people hide non-compliance in professional language. Because you're sloppy, Hailey. You always were. You just had me to clean up after you. You did this. Her voice broke. You sent that message to the investors. I don't know what you're talking about. You're lying. Funny, you'd know. She hung up. I sat back in my chair. Around me, the port hummed with activity, forklifts moving containers, inspectors checking manifests, the organized chaos of international commerce, everything in its place, everything tracked. That night, I went to Pulse District. I didn't tell Miles, didn't tell anyone, just drove to the club at 11 p.m. and walked past the line. The bouncer, a massive guy with a shaved head, stopped me. Covers 30. I paid cash. He stamped my wrist with UV ink that said Pulse in letters visible only under blacklight. Inside, the club was exactly what I expected. Strobing lights. Bass so heavy it pressed against your chest. Bodies moving in expensive clothes. The air smelled like sweat and money. Trent was in the DJ booth, headphones around his neck, talking to someone. He saw me almost immediately. His expression shifted from confusion to anger. He said something to the person next to him and climbed down from the booth. We met in the middle of the dance floor. People moved around us like water around stones. You've got nerve, he shouted over the music. I've got a drink minimum to meet, I shouted back. Where's the bar? You need to leave. I paid cover. I'm a customer. His jaw clenched. You sent that message. You're trying to destroy my business. Your business is destroying itself. I'm just watching. He grabbed my jacket. You think you're smart? You think you can just walk in here? 2 security guards appeared. Not the bouncer from the door. Bigger guys. Professional. They flanked Trent. Problem? One of them asked. This guy needs to leave, Trent said. I paid cover, I repeated calmly. I haven't broken any rules. If you assault a paying customer, that's a liability issue. Your investors wouldn't like that. Trent's face went red. Get him out. The security guards looked uncertain. One of them said, Sir, if you'd voluntarily leave, we'd appreciate it. No. Trent swung at me. I could tell what he was about to do from the way he moved, unsteady, easy to predict. I shifted in close, guided his motion off balance, and had him on the ground within moments. Not harshly, just with controlled precision, the kind of technique customs enforcement teaches for managing tense situations safely. He landed hard. The music didn't stop, but people nearby did. Phones came out. Of course they did. Everyone films everything now. The security guards grabbed my arms. I didn't resist. Trent got up, humiliated, furious. You're banned, forever. You'll never set foot in any club I'm associated with. That's fine, I said. You won't be associated with this one much longer anyway. They threw me out, literally. The bouncer and both security guards lifted me and carried me through the door, dumped me on the sidewalk outside. I stood up, brushed off my jacket, and walked to my car. By the time I got home, the video was online. Someone had posted it with the caption, DJ got dropped at his own club El Mo. 15,000 views in an hour. Miles called at 2 a.m. What the actual hell, Garrett? Evening. You started a fight at Pulse District? I didn't start anything. I finished it. The video makes you look like a psychopath. The video makes Trent look weak. That was the point. You're playing with fire. Fire's predictable. You give it fuel and oxygen. It burns. People are the same way. You're scaring me, man. Good, I said, and hung up. The next morning, I went to work early again. Janet found me at 7 a.m. Monroe, we need to talk. Her office was small, government-issue furniture, commendation plaques on the walls. She closed the door and sat down across from me. I saw the video, she said. Okay. You want to explain? I went to a club. Someone assaulted me. I defended myself, that's all. That someone is the person your wife was having an affair with. Alleged affair, and she's not my wife anymore. Paperwork's filed. This looks like retaliation. This looks like self-defense. Check the video. He swung first. She stared at me for a long moment. You're different, Garrett. You used to be the calm one, the one who de-escalated situations. I'm still calm? No. You're cold. There's a difference. Maybe I learned it from the job. Or maybe you're becoming something you shouldn't be. Are we done here? She sighed. You're one of my best inspectors. Your performance hasn't dropped, but whatever you're doing in your personal life, keep it separate. I can't protect you if it spills into work. Understood. I left her office and returned to my desk. Checked my email. The lawyer handling my separation had sent documents. Simple, no-fault case. Assets divided. No kids. Should be finalized in 90 days. Hailey hadn't signed yet. At lunch, I got a message from an unknown number. We need to meet. Trent. I deleted it. He sent another one. I'm serious. This ends now or it gets worse. I replied, for you, definitely. That evening, I was driving home from the port when I noticed headlights behind me. Same car for 15 minutes. Black sedan. Tinted windows. I took a turn I didn't need to take. The sedan followed. Trent. I smiled. I led him away from the main roads into the industrial district. Empty warehouses, loading docks. No cameras, no witnesses. Just the kind of place where stupid people make fatal mistakes. The sedan stayed on me, getting closer, more aggressive. I turned into a narrow alley between 2 shipping facilities. It was a closed-off passage with concrete walls on both sides. The sedan followed me inside. I stopped my car, got out. Trent got out of the sedan, alone. Of course he was alone. Guys like him think they're tough right up until they meet someone who actually is. You think you're clever, he yelled. His voice echoed off the walls. I think you're predictable. You ruined my business. You turned my investors against me. You humiliated me in my own club. You did all that. I just watched. I'm going to destroy you. With what? Your DJ equipment, your underwater club finances, your girlfriend who writes marketing copy. He rushed me. This time I didn't redirect. I met him head on. He was taller, but I was trained. He swung wild. I blocked, countered, put my shoulder into his chest and drove him back against his car. He gasped, tried to knee me. I stepped aside and swept his legs. He went down hard on the concrete. I didn't keep hitting him, didn't need to. I crouched down next to him. You followed me. You threatened me. You escalated. And now you're on the ground wondering how it went wrong so fast. He tried to get up. I put my hand on his chest. Not hard, just firm. Stay down. Learn something. I'll call the cops. And tell them what? That you stalked me into an alley? That you attacked me and lost? Go ahead. I'll wait. He didn't move. I stood up, walked back to my car. Before I got in, I turned around. If you tail me again, you'll crash harder. Next time I'll let the law handle it. I drove away, left him sitting on the concrete in the dark. My dash cam had recorded everything. When I got home, Miles was waiting in the parking lot. He followed me upstairs without asking. You set him up, he said as soon as we were inside the loft. He set himself up. I just gave him space to do it. You baited him into a confrontation in a place with no cameras. There's a camera. I showed him the dash cam footage. Clear evidence of stalking, assault, and threatening behavior. Miles watched the video twice. This is legal, but it's ruthless. It's efficient. You're not the same person I trained with. Yes, I am. I'm just not pretending anymore. He left without another word. I uploaded the dash cam footage to cloud storage, made 3 backups, sent a copy to my lawyer with a note. Additional evidence of harassment. Then I poured a drink. Bourbon. Neat. Sat by the window looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Hailey was realizing her choices had consequences. Trent was realizing his arrogance had a price. And I was realizing I didn't feel guilty about any of it. The audit results came back on a Monday. I knew because Hailey showed up at my loft at 9 p.m., pounding on the door like she was trying to break it down. I checked the peephole. She looked destroyed. Hair unwashed, sweatpants, no makeup, the opposite of the sequined dress from a month ago. I opened the door. They're suing me, she said. No greeting, just devastation. Trent's investors. They found discrepancies in the promotional campaigns. They think I falsified invoices. Did you? I charged for work I did. That's not what I asked. She pushed past me into the loft, looked around at the minimal furniture, the empty walls, the life I'd built without her. This is where you've been hiding? I'm not hiding. I'm living. You destroyed everything, Garrett. Trent's losing the club. My clients dropped me. People in the industry won't return my calls. We're both finished. You finished yourselves. I just connected dots. You sent that message to the investors. Prove it. She stared at me. I don't even know you anymore. You never did. You knew the version of me that accepted your excuses and pretended not to notice when you came home smelling like someone else. That version's gone. I made mistakes. I know that. But this is cruel. Cruel was telling me to leave because I didn't like watching you cheat. Cruel was bringing him to our door. Cruel was 3 months of lying. This is consequences. I loved you. Past tense. Interesting. She sat down on my couch without asking, put her face in her hands. The lawsuit is for $40,000. I don't have that. I'll lose everything. You already did. Please, Garrett, if you ever cared about me, help me. Talk to them. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. You committed fraud. Small scale, but fraud. You charged for deliverables you didn't provide. You falsified completion dates. You violated contracts. How do you know all that? Because I'm good at my job, and my job is finding people who lie about paperwork. She looked up at me. You really hate me now. No, I don't feel anything. That's worse, isn't it? She left 20 minutes later, didn't say goodbye, just walked out and closed the door softly like she was giving up. I felt nothing watching her go. 2 days later, Trent made his move. I was at the port inspecting a container from Taiwan when security radioed me. Monroe, there's a situation at the main gate. I drove the inspection cart to the entrance. Trent was there, screaming at the guards, trying to force his way into the facility. He keeps demanding to see you, the guard said. We told him this is a secure federal facility, but he's not listening. I approached the fence. Trent saw me and lost what was left of his composure. You coward, he screamed. You hide behind your badge and ruin people's lives. You need to leave, I said calmly. This is federal property. You're trespassing. I've lost everything. My club, my reputation, my investors want to sue me for breach of fiduciary duty. All because of you. All because you're bad at math and worse at business. He tried to climb the fence. The guards grabbed him. He fought back. Not smart. Assaulting security at a federal facility carries serious charges. They had him on the ground in seconds. Face down, hands behind his back. "You're not even worth it," he yelled as they cuffed him. "You're a nobody. A customs inspector? You think you matter?" "More than you," I said. They dragged him to a security vehicle. Port Authority police arrived. I gave a statement, clear, factual, unemotional. Trent was charged with trespassing, attempted assault on federal officers, and disturbing a secure facility. Miles called me that afternoon. "He's imploding." "Good." "Garrett, he's going to come at you harder. Desperate people do stupid things." "Let him. Every stupid thing he does is more evidence." "You're enjoying this." "I'm appreciating efficiency." That night, I received an email from Trent's lawyer. Cease and desist. Allegations of stalking, harassment, intentional interference with business relationships. I forwarded it to my lawyer with a note. "Please respond with our documentation." My lawyer sent back a 40-page packet. The USB drive Trent had mailed me, the harassment report, the dash cam footage, the security reports from the port, the video from the club. Every piece of evidence showed Trent as the aggressor. The cease and desist disappeared. 3 weeks later, Pulse District closed permanently. The investors liquidated assets. Trent's 18% stake was worth nothing after debts were paid. Hailey's lawsuit settled. She paid $20,000 and signed an NDA. Her freelance career was over. I knew all this because Miles kept me informed. He'd made friends with one of the investors through his security work. "They're both destroyed," Miles said over coffee one Saturday. "Isn't that enough?" "Almost." "What does that mean?" "There's one more thing. Garrett, they humiliated me. Publicly. Deliberately. They tried to make me feel small. They need to understand what small actually feels like. This isn't justice anymore. This is revenge. Justice is what courts do. This is accounting." The final piece came together when I learned Pulse District's investors were holding a final meeting to dissolve the LLC and distribute remaining assets. A formality. A closing of books. The meeting was in a downtown law office. 23rd floor. Conference room with a view. I shouldn't have been there. I wasn't an investor. I had no legal standing. But Miles had done security for the building. He still had access credentials. "Last favor," I told him. "Get me into that building during the meeting." "Why?" "Because they need to see my face one more time." "This is insane." "This is closure." He gave me a visitor badge. Told me he was done after this. I didn't blame him. I took the elevator to the 23rd floor at 4 p.m. The meeting was scheduled for 4:30. I waited in a bathroom down the hall until I heard voices in the conference room. Then I walked in. The room went silent. 8 people around a table, lawyers, investors, accountants, and Trent, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 2 months. Hailey was there too, sitting in the corner, probably required for the settlement. "Excuse me," one of the lawyers said. "This is a private meeting." "I know," I said. "I'm Garrett Monroe. You've heard my name." Recognition rippled through the room. The investor Miles knew, a woman named Patricia Chen, actually smiled slightly. "Mr. Monroe," she said, "you're the reason we're all here." "Partially. Mostly you're here because your partner committed fraud and your contractor falsified documents. I just pointed it out." Trent stood up. "Get out." "Sit down, Mr. Hayes," Patricia said coldly. "You've done enough damage." "He destroyed my life." "You destroyed your own life. He simply documented it." I walked around the table slowly, made eye contact with each person, then stopped in front of Trent. "You told Hailey I wasn't enough," I said quietly. "You sent me that USB drive. You thought you won." "I did win. I had everything you wanted. For 3 months. I have everything forever. My career, my reputation, my dignity. You have bankruptcy and criminal charges. You're pathetic. And you're finished." He lunged at me. I was ready. He telegraphed the move with his eyes, his shoulders, his breathing. I sidestepped, grabbed his shirt, and redirected his momentum into the conference table. Not a throw, not a punch, just physics. He collapsed onto the table, scattering papers. The lawyers jumped back. Hailey gasped. Security burst through the door. Real security this time, building professionals. I held up my hands. He attacked me. Everyone saw it. Patricia nodded. "He did." Mr. Monroe defended himself. "Please remove Mr. Hayes from the building." They grabbed Trent. He was screaming incoherently now. Something about lawsuits, about unfairness, about how everyone conspired against him. As they dragged him out, I leaned close enough that only he could hear me. "You told her I wasn't enough. Look at you now." His eyes went wide with rage, but the security guards pulled him away before he could respond. The room was silent except for the sound of papers settling back onto the table. I turned to Hailey. She was shaking, mascara running again. Always with the mascara. "You told me to leave," I said. "Now it's your turn." I walked out of the conference room, down the hall, into the elevator, out through the lobby into afternoon sunlight that felt like victory. My phone rang. Miles. "Tell me you didn't just do what I think you did." "I just closed the loop. You're insane." "I'm efficient." I hung up and walked to my car. Police escorted Trent Hayes out of the building. He'd violated his prior conditions by trying to assault someone again. This time he'd serve real jail time, 60, maybe 90 days. Enough to remind him that consequences exist. Hailey would sign the separation papers. She had no leverage left. The investors would recover some of their losses. And I would return to my loft, to my quiet work, to the life that had always fit me better. I drove through the city at sunset, watching people head home to their own choices and consequences. I'd made mine, walking away from a woman who valued attention more than honesty, from a marriage already falling apart, from a life that felt like suffocation. Some would call it revenge. Maybe, but it was also justice, truth, and the natural end for people who assumed they were untouchable. All I did was remind them that gravity still applies. At a red light, I checked the mirror. No one followed. No threats. Just evening traffic and a city moving on. I drove home.